Hello, guys and gals. Brother Damon Chief Jones coming to you here. I've been asked recently, hey, how come you ain't been putting out some videos? Well, had life going on, This isn't the only thing I do. And I've been behind the scenes doing a lot of things to help a lot of people. I get a lot of emails, phone calls, and I've been helping numerous people on other things along with life. But now I have something I want to talk to you about. News Now Houston David being arrested. And by the way, I'm not collecting anything for him. He has his own accounts. If you believe in him, you're free to go there and help him out. But some people miscategorize his GoFundMe. That is for his activism in free press reporting. So that's not a legal defense GoFundMe account. But some people try and characterize it that way, and that's not correct. Just thought I'd get that out of the way. There is, or there was, no bond for David. Now, uh, just to keep in mind that they falsely, on a public website for the jail, put down a false number. I believe it's 888,000. They, from my understanding, had to put that in to make the computer accept it because there has to be a bond or it has to say no bond. Well, they didn't want to say no bond. That makes it look bad, so they plugged in a pass number. I've known this to happen more than once in my life. Uh, so that's pretty strange there. Okay. Now, a 17-year-old case, 17 years old, mysteriously come up with new evidence on exactly when David stirred the pot at the Houston PD. And of course, their legal rep down there said, if you stir the pot, basically extrapolation, we're going to come get you. We got your number. So if you out us, we're going to make you pay a penalty. Okay? Some people allege that the quote warrant for David was alive and well at the time. I assure you, they know who David is. And if he had an outstanding warrant at that time, there would have been a dozen officers over there to surround him to do a show of force to teach us, don't mess with the police. Don't tell what they're doing wrong. Don't out them. Don't show their criminal activity and behavior, their conduct unbecoming a peace officer in Texas. Okay? Don't out them or they'll punish you. That's a signal. But they didn't do that because, one, there was a lot of eyes and a lot of people there. Number two, no warrant existed. If you're alive and awake, you should understand a thing called backdating, and that police have been said to be able to lie repeatedly, and the courts all across the country says it's okay the police to lie. It's a one-way street. You can't lie, but they can lie. Doesn't make for any honest dialogue, and it ruins police credibility individually and collectively. So I'm hoping that someday, sometime, the Supreme Court of the United States says it's no longer acceptable for a police officer to lie. If he lies, he gets treated the same as you. He can't lie to you. Okay? So that would be equal. Right now it's unequal. It's a one-way street. Police lie, you can't. They can backdate. Apparently they can falsify information as well. Now I know there's a lot of good police officers out there across the country, marshals, sheriffs, rangers, chiefs, sheriffs, whatever. I know you're out there. I also know that if you report wrongdoing, especially criminal wrongdoing, and get an officer fired, suspended, decertified, delicensed, that his friends and other colleagues will see you as a threat to them, and they'll gang up on you and hurt you. So I know that you're under a state of fear. And I'm working with other retired professionals right now to create laws in the various states and maybe a federal law under some sort of civil rights issue that says if you're a police officer and you report on bad cops, nothing can happen to you. Now, we know that they will try and make it hard on you, but it's some kind of protection so good cops can come forward. I suffered repeatedly for, uh, quote, narking out bad officers or firing them or getting them suspended or suspending them or firing them myself. Okay. So I was hard timed numerous times. So one day when I have an opportunity, I'm either going to write a book or do an audio book, something to tell the real story of my life and get it out there, how it really happened. Give some dates, times, and places to bring more credibility to it. But don't let me digress here. Don't be fooled about backdating on warrants or backdating on information. Don't be fooled that police don't go back to somebody and say, hey, do you think maybe this or maybe that, to kind of twist and torque them around to say new evidence to reactivate a 17-year-old case? Yeah. Really aggressive police officers that want to go to a higher level, get more pay, recognized officer of the year, uh, to be a cop's cop, a high end guy, get promotions, accolades that could lead to other things that bring in money. Oh yeah, get the pat on the back from the sheriff or the constable or the chief of police or your director, whoever it is. Yeah, it happens. Uh, I know one specific city that I actually worked at, and I saw it happen repeatedly, and so I tried to get it straightened out. So what happens? They gang up on me and try and say, "Oh, he's a bad egg. He needs to go to another department." You know, no, no. Y'all need to quit lying, cheating, stealing. That's what needs to happen. Let me look back here at my notes. Now remember, don't forget, Harris County, Texas, which is where Houston is, they created News Now Houston David. In fact, I know on at least one video he was talking to a deputy sheriff that was seemed to be professional, well heeled, and understood. And David has explained to him how you all created me. So now the chickens have come home to roost. Okay, so getting on to another part. When someone has nothing to say, then they seem to target the successful people, the people that have had a good career, the people that do have a good reputation. They target them because they're down here and the successful people are up here. So they think if they get up here and press them down, then they're climbing higher on the ladder. Okay? It actually shows that they're narcissistic, they're a sociopath or psychopath, or got other mental or emotional issues when they attack the people. And they don't attack them on the substance. They're personal, direct attacks on the messenger, not necessarily the message. Okay? So keep that in mind when people come after me, SA Ecstasy, Texas Sheepdog, Steve P&P, News Now Patrick, News Now Houston, other people. We have been successful in our life. Now we're men, and men make mistakes. God says it'll happen. God says we'll all sin. But the point is, we have a relatively successful life in one way or another. Okay? Or we're getting there. And people make mistakes. You know, let me look here at the next thing. Why do people that are not successful attack people that are successful? It makes them feel superior. They already think they are superior to the people they're going after. They try and show their quote intelligence, their higher learning, their higher education to say, oh look, they misspoke something. They didn't quote it correct. They didn't spell a word right. Well, Einstein is said to have been so smart he couldn't tie his own shoes. Okay? So your IQ doesn't necessarily have nothing to do with how you spell or sometimes how you speak and communicate with people. They're all set skills. You can have a man that is picture perfect with shooting a gun. They'll call them dead-eye dicks. They'll just shoot a perfect score. But they're horrible at cleaning and maintaining a weapon. I've seen it happen. There's been top guns around me, but they can clean a gun, but not that good. But they're a great shot. Some people are a great thinker, but they're not a good speaker, or they're a good speaker, but not that good a thinker. So there's a lot of things go into the human equation for a man or woman. Okay, so just remember, David stirred the pot, literally. And the Houston police rep said, if you stir the pot, we're going to get you. So maybe there'll be a little clip in here that'll show him stirring the pot. And then that guy saying, we're coming to get you. And then the next clip will show him in jail. So this particular time they didn't lie. They kept their word. He stirred the pot. They got him. Now, of course, a backdated warrant, quite possibly, manufactured evidence, quite possibly. The credibility of police has plummeted over the last 10 years because the courts have repeatedly said they can lie. So now, when police say something, it's like, are you lying now or was you lying a while ago? And there's a never-ending changing story. Now, that hurts all the good cops that was out there like me that told the truth. Okay? Even when I was investigating people, I didn't lie to them. I told them what I knew to be true and how I knew it. And they'd either confess or not confess after their Miranda. You ever think about something when police at a choke point allegedly for driver's license or DUI sobriety or vehicle inspection or whatever else they concoct, the very first thing is when they come up to you without any Miranda, without any warning that you do not have to talk to them, they start off asking you incriminating questions. Don't that seem wrong? Have you had anything to drink tonight? Okay. Well, that is intended that if you was to say, yeah, the next question is how much. And even if you said, I had half a beer or I had 2 glasses of wine about 3 hours ago, that still creates probable cause. They can still get you out and do the sobriety and say you failed. And then they smell dope and check your car. Do you see how that's a downhill slope? So you don't have to answer that question. They say, where are you coming from? Well, let's just say you was at Bob's Bar and Grill. Okay. So what was you doing at Bob's Bar and Grill? So they're going to try and get it another way. Well, if he come from Places Bar, maybe he's drinking. Maybe we get a DUI. Maybe that'll help our DUI grants and we get another officer. We get more money. We get a better car. We can do this. We can do that. See where this goes? Okay. Where are you going? Okay. And then police have this thing where sometimes they try and get people out of the car and they ask you where you were going. Then they ask somebody else where they're going, where you come from. Okay. I understand that strategy. But the point is, it's to say and to build probable cause that if you said one thing, they said another, y'all can't lie. They can lie. Y'all could both have said the same thing. And then the police can get you aside and say, well, your partner said y'all come from somewhere else. He's lying. They didn't. But now it makes you scared and nervous, and so they start pounding on you for other incriminating evidence that there nothing existed. Yeah, there's a lot of strategies and tactics to getting to the truth, and then there's a lot that lie, twist, and turn to try and get to the truth. So, can you violate a man to get to the truth? I don't think so, but it happens regularly. So, we need to keep that in mind. Now, keep in mind, there are a lot of good police officers out there, and they're literally scared to out their partner, their supervisor, their subordinates due to fear of repercussions. Okay, so let me see if I got anything else here on my notes. Uh, Remember, let's look back at the 1985 arrest for alleged sexual assault. Okay, since the police can lie, I think that means they can also write down false things, like an investigative report. Okay, they can twist and turn words and do some verbal judo upside down, inside out to twist and torque words around. Okay, uh, so if you go to the arrest, all you got is what the police wrote on the paper, and the courts go along with police knowing they can lie, tell them it's okay to lie, but then accept their paperwork as truthful. Seems a little crazy to me. If I was a judge, I'd say, no, you can't lie. You can't commit a crime to capture somebody in a crime. You can't, you know, police can't commit crimes to try and convict you of crimes. But that's what's going on a lot of times. Okay, so we don't know that any of the information in the arrest reports was accurate. We just know that's what some police officer wrote. Also, the guy that's now chief of police down there that actually made the arrest, oh, y'all need to go back and investigate him. You need to go way back before police days and investigate him all the way up to current. Find out how he actually become a cop. Find out what some of his supervisors said about him. Okay? So his credibility is really questionable. Okay? Based on my research, it's very, he's just not credible. Okay? Now, he can say anything he wants to about me. You know, people can question people. And I'm not saying he is a liar, but I'm also not saying he told the truth. That remains to be seen. But we do know that if you go back and search him out and study his life and his moral issues before he ever become a police officer, and study him out once he become and how did he actually get placed into a job, and look at his work record and study it out, and don't just go on the work record alone, but actually talk to people that worked with him and see what they tell you. Then go back and look at the paperwork. And all of a sudden it doesn't add up. Okay? And David may never tell you this, but I will. David was a stand up cop. That means he told the truth and did what was right. He also exposed some really bad cops. And so they really had a very, very good and solid reason to hook him up. The quickest, fastest way to hook up a cop is to allege that he committed sexual crimes, period. The next best way is to, at least in that day and time, not today, but back in 1985, was to allege he was a homosexual, okay? Because homosexuals were automatically barred from being a law enforcement officer because of moral standards in 1985, okay? So that would get them out of the business and make them be hated by a large portion of the prejudiced public, okay? So if you was going to go to the extreme, then you would allege homosexual incest molestation, which would be that you had molested a male child in your own family. Okay? And the closer, like your own children, your grandchildren, whatever, ooh, boy, you have gone through the basement down to the end of Never Never. Okay, they put you right down there with Satan. Okay, but even the allegation that you committed any sex crime, no matter what it was, then that ends your law enforcement days, and you got the hookup. Okay, and I absolutely unequivocally believe he got the hookup. I've done enough talking to David. I've looked at papers. I've talked to people that was around back then. I've talked about the guy that actually arrested him. I've done a lot of research over the last year over this, and it's my professional opinion he was hooked up. This will be hookup number 2. Okay. Now, what if I'm wrong? Okay. What if I'm right? You tell me what if I'm right. And if somebody is a serious researcher that has credentials, good credentials, they don't have to be as good as mine, just good credentials. Say you've been an investigator somewhere for at least 5 years or more, and you're well seasoned investigator, and you go look at all the points, you go research the actual police that investigated him. You investigate them. Put them on trial in your mind and in your research. Test and try the arrestors, the people that did the arrest. Go back and check their research. Go back and research the alleged victim. See where they were then, see where they are now, look at their life. Do a totality thing. And look, is it more likely that he did or he didn't? Now, I'm going to tell you something. I have dealt with, arrested, and put in many jails many times, sexual offenders, every kind you can imagine. I just have a sixth sense for sexual offenders. They talk a certain way, they act a certain way. It's just something that's in their being that I've come across. Now, I'm not saying that I'm 100%, but I'm pretty good. Okay? I'm pretty good at telling when somebody's telling me the truth and lying to me. Okay? Not perfect. I've had to bite the bullet and eat my hat a few times. Okay? But I'm pretty good. And especially being around somebody multiple times, multiple conversations, looking somebody in the eye, talking to other people that know them, yada, yada, yada. I've come to my conclusions based on my training experience. Okay? You can believe me, you cannot believe me. But I'm also going to tell you, if you put hate speech on this channel, I'll remove it. I'll block you. I'll report you. Okay? If you want to have a critical analysis of my analysis, have at it. But if you target me individually and say nasty things about me or my family or my friends or my colleagues, I'm going to delete it. Yep. And I'm going to report you because at that point you're just a miserable person that's a hater. And you're always going around trying to find something wrong with everything people say. You know? So I know who my friends are. And I got most of them are my friends. I get enough phone calls, text, emails, see people in person all over the country. And I'd say over 90% of the people that are subscribed to me and watch me like me a lot or love me. Okay. Now, 10% or less are people that are haters and they just sitting on every word I say, looking for something that I might have misspoke. I might have not said right to twist and turn and torque it into something evil or bad. They're there. But every day I ask God to pierce their heart and to explain to them and show himself strong to them that they would turn from their evil, wicked ways and become good people and would become saved. You know, if they don't have no religion or they believe in Allah or Buddha or some other God, that's totally their business. Okay? If they're heterosexual, they're homosexual, they're a trisexual, bisexual, transgendered, whatever they are, then that's what they are. I don't agree with these things. I see that God tells me it's bad and wrong, and but still, in the end, that's their right. And I've had people that have committed horrific sin, but it wasn't a violation of the law. And I told them, hey, I've told everybody, I'm straight up with everybody. Uh, if you engage in these things I see as sinful, I ain't going to be able to go hang out with you. But I will pray with you and I will pray for you. And if you decide to change, I'm here. But at the same time, if somebody does you wrong, I got your back. I do. That's the way a Christian should be. If you demonize people and you talk bad to them, you got really no chance if they decide they might want to change their life, you got no chance of getting to them. Okay? So that's my message. I have won over Muslims. I've won over Buddhists. I've won over people that were atheists to become Christians because I didn't judge them. I just said I believe it's wrong. I think that's a fact. And I'm honest with you. But I don't mistreat you and I won't let nobody else mistreat you. And everybody, I've got all kind of messages. Well, since you're a preacher, what do you think about Furry Potato and what he did or she did? I said, I've had a long, long, long talk with Potato, okay? And Potato knows my beliefs and knows my stance and knows I respect him. Now, I know he identifies as a her, and that's his business or her business, whatever. In my eyes, I'll always see him as a man. But uh, I will be very respectful. If he's hungry, I'll give him some food. If he's thirsty, I'll give him a drink. And I support his constitutional rights to live how he chooses to live. And I know they're going to say, "Well, I just can't bring myself to see that. I see you are who you're born as, you know." But uh, he picked the name Zoe. So if I'm in his presence, I call him Zoe out of respect. Now that guard is a lunatic. Nobody in their right mind would shoot or shoot at another human being for having a camera videotaping and they're on a public street and people go by there all the time taking pictures and videoing. So Furry Zoe got shot for having a camera. Now, if that's not an act of lunacy, I'd like to know. And the way the police handled it, it's all messed up. They had a duty to immediately, because this person was a danger to themselves and to others, to immediately take him into custody and disarm him immediately, no matter what. Period. And they didn't have no business handcuffing Furry. They should have searched him. Now he considers himself a woman. Okay, respect that. And so he don't want a man touching on him. Okay, then a female officer should have been able to search him or search her, however you want to look at it, and say there's no weapons, there's nothing here. Okay, and treat him as the victim, which he was and is, and go get the perpetrator. So you all know I can't edit and I can't do all these great things, but I do have a good friend of mine who can. So he's going to remain anonymous and behind the scenes, but he's a good guy. And so this editing that's done is thanks to my good friend. Okay. So thank you. God bless you. Have a great day. And try and be nice to people. Try and don't threaten people and their families. Don't talk about people like they're dogs. If you disagree, just say you disagree. You don't have to get in a diatribe about they're this, they're that, they're the next things. Just have some civility, some decency, have some integrity and honesty to your life. It makes you look cheap and little. It makes you look like a lunatic when you act crazy. Okay? So, perception equals reality. That's the way it is in this quote, day and time. Of course, they had people murdering people back in Genesis. They've had rapes going on since the beginning of time. They've had prostitution. They've had burglaries. They've had incest. They've had soldiers and police that abuse people. So there's nothing new under the sun. Go read this in the Bible. There's a time and season for everything and nothing new under the sun. So when police say in this day and time, this day and time means from the day Adam was made to now, this day and time captures all of it. Okay, there ain't nothing new going on. It's just another round of baseball. Baseball's got like 9 innings. Well, we're in the 6,000 or 10,000th round of baseball. You just get new players in and old players out, and sometimes they rewrite the rules, but it's still human beings. It's still men and women. It's still what it is. Thank you. God bless you. If you like what I do, if you believe in what I do, then fund my activities. I got money to pay my bills, and I pay them. But I don't have money to go out and do an auditing like I would like to, and so forth and so on. So if you like me, then you can give me a donation. Or you can join Self Defense Fund, and they'll give me a commission. You can go to How to Win a Court Case Without a Lawyer, and they'll give me a commission. Okay? So you can either buy things that you believe in and help me out, or you could just donate. Okay? If you don't have no money, or your money's tight, please don't send nothing. This is disposable income, disposable funds that you have that you want to give to me as a donation, or you want to buy something that they'll send me a little commission. Okay? So, again, God bless you. Thank you. Have a beautiful day in Jesus. Amen.